Here's my life with a porn addiction. Rain crashes against the windows of my apartment while the red numbers on my bedside clock flash 2:48 a.m. The room is illuminated only by the glow of my phone screen reflecting across my face. Empty takeaway containers sit stacked on my desk. Dirty clothes cover the floor. The curtains have remained closed for so long that I can't remember the last time sunlight entered the room. My alarm is set for 6 in the morning. Yet I'm still lying awake staring into a screen and telling myself the same lie I've told myself hundreds of times before. Just one more time. A few hours later, sunlight leaks through the edges of the curtains while my alarm screams from the bedside table. My eyes burn as I sit upright in bed surrounded by the mess I've spent months ignoring. Empty cans, half-finished drinks, dirty plates, and crumpled receipts are scattered throughout the apartment. I stare at the ceiling for a moment before forcing myself out of bed, already exhausted before the day has even begun. Somehow feeling tired has become more familiar than feeling rested. Later that morning, I'm standing inside a crowded train carriage surrounded by people heading to work. Some are reading newspapers, others are drinking coffee and checking emails. Through the reflection in the train window, I barely recognize myself. Dark circles sit beneath my eyes. My posture is terrible. I look exhausted. Everyone around me appears to be moving forward in life while I feel trapped in exactly the same place I've been for years, watching the world move without me. Inside a bright conference room overlooking the city skyline, my manager stands beside a presentation screen discussing company results. Around the table, co-workers take notes and ask questions. I sit quietly staring at the screen while my thoughts drift elsewhere. Suddenly, my manager calls my name. Every head turns toward me. My stomach drops. I realize I haven't listened to a single word for the last 10 minutes. The silence that follows feels unbearable. I mutter an answer that barely makes sense before looking down at the table and wishing the meeting would end. Months later, colorful balloons hang from the ceiling of the office while co-workers gather around to celebrate a promotion. Everyone applauds. As one of my colleagues shakes hands with management and poses for photographs, I stand at the back of the room, forcing a smile. Watching him celebrate should inspire me. Instead, it reminds me of how far behind I've fallen. Deep down, I know he earned this moment. He stayed focused. He stayed disciplined. He invested in himself every single day, while I spent another year escaping reality. That evening, rain taps softly against my car windshield. While I sit alone in the parking lot outside my apartment building, the engine is off, the city lights reflect across the wet glass, my phone suddenly lights up with a picture of my mum. I watch it ring until it stops. A few minutes later, it rings again, then again. Eventually, the screen fills with missed calls. I know she's worried about me, but I don't even know how to explain what's happening to myself anymore. It's hard to ask for help when you're ashamed of the person you've become. A week later, warm lighting fills a crowded family dining room while relatives laugh and talk around a large wooden table. Plates of food cover every surface. My cousins are discussing weddings, promotions, and future plans. Everyone seems excited about where life is taking them. I sit quietly, staring at my plate. Across the table, my father studies my face before asking if I'm okay. I answer yes immediately, but the concern in his eyes tells me he doesn't believe me. The truth is, I don't believe me either. One evening, the city skyline glows behind the glass walls of an expensive rooftop restaurant, while candlelight flickers across the table between me and a beautiful woman. She asks me about my goals, my ambitions, and where I see myself in the future. I stare out at the endless sea of lights beyond the window, searching for an answer I no longer have. The conversation slowly loses energy. Her smile becomes less frequent. The pauses become longer. By the end of the night, I already know she's going to disappear from my life like everyone else eventually does. Not because she's a bad person, but because I've become impossible to connect with. Friday night arrives, but instead of being surrounded by friends, I'm sitting alone inside my dark apartment. My phone lights up repeatedly with invitations to dinner, parties, and nights out. One by one, I ignore them. Outside my window, the city is alive with people creating memories. Inside, hours disappear while I remain alone in the same room I've spent countless nights trapped inside. Every invitation I decline feels small in the moment, but together they slowly build a wall between me and the rest of the world. Months pass. The apartment grows worse. Dirty dishes fill the kitchen sink. Laundry forms piles against the walls. Empty food containers cover tables and countertops. The curtains remain permanently shut, blocking out the world beyond them. Sitting alone in the darkness, illuminated only by a screen. I scroll through photographs of old friends traveling, celebrating weddings, and building families. Everyone seems to be moving forward while I remain frozen in place, watching other people live the life I thought I would have by now. One night, during a thunderstorm, lightning flashes through the bathroom window while I stand in front of a mirror staring at my own reflection. The tired eyes, the poor posture, the exhausted expression. For a moment, I barely recognize the person staring back at me. This isn't the man I wanted to become when I was younger. This isn't the life I imagined for myself. Later that night, I sit alone at my desk while the glow from a computer screen illuminates the room around me. The apartment is silent. No messages, no plans, no excitement about tomorrow. For the first time, I stop looking away from the truth. The mess surrounding me isn't just a messy apartment. It's physical evidence of years I've spent wasting my own life. Years that I'll never get back. The following morning, sunlight pours through the windows as I finally pull the curtains open. Bright light floods every corner of the apartment, exposing everything I've spent years ignoring. The room still looks terrible. My life still feels broken. Nothing is magically fixed. Yet standing there overlooking the city below, I finally admit something I've avoided for far too long. I need to change.